It was a quiet Sunday afternoon in a small suburban town when a seemingly ordinary young girl stumbled upon something that would forever change her life. What began as a simple act of kindness would soon spiral into a mystery filled with emotional twists and turns that no one could have imagined. But who was this baby? Why was it left abandoned? And what shocking connection would this young girl soon discover? Keep watching to find out this incredible story of fate, compassion, and an unexpected family bond. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more inspiring and heartwarming stories. Sarah was your typical 16-year-old girl, living a peaceful life in the quiet suburban town of Maplewood. With the small population and friendly neighbors, it was the kind of place where everyone knew everyone. The community was tight-knit, and there wasn't much excitement, but Sarah loved it that way. She had always been kind-hearted, always looking for ways to help others. Raised by her single mother, Lisa, Sarah was no stranger to hardship, but had grown up with a deep sense of empathy and compassion for those around her. Their home was a modest two-bedroom cottage on the outskirts of town, but Lisa had made sure it was filled with warmth and love. Sarah's father had left when she was only a toddler, leaving Lisa to raise her alone. Despite the challenges, Lisa was a pillar of strength. She worked 2 jobs to make ends meet and did her best to give Sarah a stable upbringing. Sarah admired her mother's resilience, and though they didn't have much, their bond was unbreakable. Maplewood, though quaint and peaceful, had its share of troubles. It was not uncommon to hear stories of families struggling to make ends meet or young children left alone due to difficult circumstances. However, nothing could have prepared Sarah for what was about to unfold that fateful afternoon. It was a bright and sunny Sunday afternoon, and Sarah was on her way home from the local library. She often took a shortcut through the woods near her house, a serene path that provided her with moments of quiet reflection. With the autumn leaves crunching beneath her feet and the scent of pine trees in the air, it felt like any other normal day. But fate had other plans. As she walked, Sarah heard a faint sound, a muffled cry. She stopped in her tracks, straining to hear where it was coming from. The birds had gone silent, and the wind rustled gently through the trees, but there it was again, soft, barely audible, but unmistakably the sound of a baby crying. The sound grew louder as she moved deeper into the woods. Behind a large tree, hidden under some leaves and a tattered blanket, lay a tiny baby, alone, abandoned, and helpless. Her heart raced. The sight of the tiny baby lying there, so vulnerable, sent a shockwave of emotion through her. Why was this baby left here? Who could do such a thing? Panic gripped her for a moment, but then her instincts kicked in. She knew she had to help. The baby, a boy no more than a few months old, was wrapped in a thin blanket, shivering in the cool autumn air. His cheeks were streaked with tears, and his little fists were clenched in discomfort. Sarah's heart broke as she crouched down beside him. Without hesitation, Sarah gently picked up the baby, cradling him in her arms. He couldn't have been more than a few months old, his face dirty and tear-streaked, but he immediately quieted in her embrace. It was as if he knew he was safe with her. Sarah rushed home with the baby, her mind racing with questions. When she arrived, her mother, Lisa, was sitting at the kitchen table, sipping a cup of tea. As soon as Lisa saw Sarah with the baby, her eyes widened in shock. "Sarah, where did you—" Lisa's voice trailed off as she stared at the baby in her daughter's arms. "I found him in the woods, Mom," Sarah said breathlessly. "He was just lying there, all alone. We have to help him." Lisa immediately sprang into action, grabbing a blanket and wrapping it around the baby. They called the police to report the abandoned baby, but Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that this baby needed more than just a stranger's care. He needed her. As they waited for the authorities to arrive, Sarah held the baby close, feeling a strange connection to him that she couldn't explain. There was something about his eyes, the way he looked at her as if he trusted her completely. The police arrived and started asking questions, taking the baby into custody for the time being while they conducted an investigation. Who would abandon a baby in the woods? The thought haunted Sarah. She couldn't stop thinking about the tiny child's sad eyes and how peaceful he had looked when she held him. The officers assured Sarah and her mother that they would do everything they could to find the baby's family. However, days turned into weeks and there were no leads. No one came forward to claim the baby, and the investigation hit a dead end. Sarah visited the police station several times, checking on the baby's well-being. Each time she saw him, her heart ached. She knew she had to do something. She couldn't just let him slip away into the system. But what could she do? She was only 16, and her family already had enough struggles of their own. One evening, about a month after finding the baby, Sarah and her mother received a call from the police. They had discovered something unusual. The baby had no identification, no birth certificate, and no record in any system. It was as if he had appeared out of nowhere. As Sarah sat on her bed that night, thinking about the baby, something clicked in her mind. She remembered a story her mother had once told her, a story about her father. Sarah had never known much about him. Her mother rarely spoke of him. But there was one detail that stood out in Sarah's memory. Her father had left when she was just a baby, and her mother had been forced to raise her alone. The thought nagged at her. Could there be a connection? She tried to dismiss it, but the feeling wouldn't go away. The next day, she asked her mother about her father. Lisa was hesitant at first, but eventually she opened up. She told Sarah the truth, that before Sarah was born, Lisa had been in a relationship with a man who had left her heartbroken and pregnant. But there was more. Sarah had a brother. Lisa explained that before Sarah was born, she had given birth to a baby boy. But at the time, Lisa had been struggling financially and emotionally, and she had made the heartbreaking decision to give him up for adoption, hoping he would have a better life. Sarah was stunned. She had a brother, and all this time, her mother had kept it a secret. But why? Lisa explained that she had never wanted to burden Sarah with the knowledge of her lost sibling. It had been a painful decision, and Lisa had carried the guilt with her for years. She had always wondered what had become of her son, but she had never expected him to come back into their lives in such a dramatic way. Tears filled Lisa's eyes as she realized the magnitude of the situation. The baby that Sarah had found, the baby she had felt so connected to, was her brother. The realization hit them both like a wave. All those years of guilt and regret melted away as Lisa held her son once more, a second chance to give him the love and care she had always wanted to. Sarah, too, felt a sense of completeness she had never known before. The brother she had never met was now a part of her life, and their family, though broken in the past, was finally whole again. In the weeks that followed, Sarah and her mother fought to gain custody of the baby, now revealed to be a long-lost part of their family. The process was challenging, but through it all, Sarah remained hopeful. Her selfless act of rescuing a baby had led to the discovery of a bond she never knew existed. And the lesson here, sometimes life has a strange way of bringing us back to the people we're meant to be with. The love we give, even in moments of uncertainty, can lead to unexpected blessings. Sarah's compassion didn't just save a baby's life. It reunited a broken family and gave them all a second chance at happiness. This story shows us that life can be full of surprises, and sometimes the smallest act of kindness can change our lives forever. Have you ever experienced a moment where fate led you to something extraordinary? Let us know in the comments below. If you love this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss another heartwarming story like this one. And remember, sometimes the most unexpected connections are the ones that change our lives the most.